Our concluding speaker tonight is a tireless defender of marriage. He travels around the country talking about the truth of marriage. He is the president and co-founder of the National Organization for Marriage. Tonight, he will tell you and explain to you why the nation is depending on Utah to defend the truth of marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Brown.
What an honor and a blessing to be with so many of you tonight. Give yourself a hand for being here. What a turnout. There have been some very wise words tonight. Discussion about the rational basis of marriage, the truth that mothers and fathers are different and unique, that children need both mothers and fathers, that you as the people of Utah had the right to amend your Constitution, and you also have the right to expect that that Constitution will be defended. But what I want to talk about tonight is a lie that we hear time and time again in the media. I've heard it from some of the questions that I have been asked tonight. And the lie goes something like this: that you people gathered here today are people of faith. And your faith is coloring your view of public policy. Your faith is having an effect on what you think is in the best interest of society, and that somehow that is wrong. Is that wrong? No. What I want to ask each and every one of you to do tonight is to remember who you are. Remember our history. Not all of us here may be of the same denomination. There are Orthodox Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, people of no religious denomination that understand that marriage is by definition the union of a man and a woman, and it demands a defense. But I will say it's pretty likely that those of us here share some respect for our Savior, Jesus Christ. And that those of us here have at one time or another been told that somehow we shouldn't say something like this at a gathering at the Capitol, or that belief shouldn't affect what's in the best interest of our state or our vote. Well, I say that is a lie and it is wrong. Remember who we are. Throughout history, people of faith have stood up against gross injustices, stood up for true civil rights, going all the way back to Rome, where human beings were treated as if their value was nothing more than being thrown together in combat to kill one another so that people could watch them and get some sort of enjoyment. Christians stood up and they said no. William Wilberforce and the Chatham Group in England, people of faith coming together. Again, there were Orthodox Jews, that were others that supported them, but people of faith came together and said, there is something profoundly wrong with an empire that is trading in the flesh of human beings. We will organize. We will fight. They were laughed at. They were mocked. In Parliament, it was said that there was no chance whatsoever that the slave trade would be halted. William Wilberforce did not live to see the day. What did he do? He kept on fighting for the truth. And once he was gone, the slave trade was abolished. There is an attempt, if we move forward in history, to hijack and whitewash the truth of the civil rights movement. And that truth is that leaders like Dr. King and others stood up precisely because of their Christian faith against overwhelming odds. And they were sometimes told that it was wrong to bring their faith into the public square. But they stood up, they joined with other folks of faith. They knew that their arguments were based in reason. They knew it was unreasonable to treat people differently because of their color of their skin. But it was their faith that gave them the courage, Dr. King to go to prison, to have his home firebombed, to stand for the truth no matter what. It was faith that allowed that courage to fight for the truth. We have the right arguments. We have the right messages. You've seen them with people holding up the placards about kids needing a mom and a dad. We know what is at stake. But what we need are everyday heroes who know where they come from, who know what we've been through, who realize that we are standing up for the civil rights of all when we stand up for the truth about marriage. That we cannot stay behind the four walls of our churches, be told that we need to be silenced when we enter the public square. All that talk needs to stay in our churches. That we cannot accept being silenced. That it does no one any good. That we have a moral right, nay, obligation to stand for the truth in and out of season, no matter how difficult it is. That being called a few names for standing up for marriage, having folks attempt to silence us, this is a very small price to pay to be allowed to play a part in this most critical fight to defend God's institution of marriage and family. So, I'm asking that when you leave here today, no matter how dire folks try and say our situation is on marriage, no matter if, as has happened in some states have redefined marriage. The fight does not end. When you leave here today, in any way you can, whether it's supporting the heroic legislators who brought forward this legislation, supporting your attorney general, making sure that you vote, or in more mundane things, like when you're at work or at school. Young people, listen to this, please. You're often being sold a false bill of goods in school, right? It's easy to accept what the other side is saying in school about these false claims of equality. It's much harder to stand up and be a hero for what you know is true in your heart. That there's something unique and special and irreplaceable about having a mother and father. And so I'm asking you, when you go back to your schools, when you go back to your workplaces, do not be silenced. Do not be intimidated. Stand up for the truth about marriage anywhere you are. And know that there are many others like you. We're here today, but there are millions more around the country cheering on, looking at what you're doing. Blessed are you when you are persecuted. If you have to be called a few names, don't worry about it. Brush it off. Treat those that are attacking you with love, and make sure that you're even more committed to standing up for the truth that marriage is and only can be the union of a man and a woman. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Utah.